As I promised in the previous video, today we'll discuss the origins of Gaddafi's downfall, the involvement of foreign intelligence agencies, and the biggest mistake made during Obama's presidency.
Stay unbiased.
The rise of Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi was born in 1942 in a Bedouin tent near Sirte, Libya. Coming from a humble background, he was deeply influenced by Arab nationalism and the ideas of Egypt's leader, Gamal Abdel Nasser. In 1969, at just 27 years old, Gaddafi led a bloodless coup that overthrew King Idris. He promised to modernize Libya, nationalize its oil wealth, and eliminate foreign influence from the country. Under his rule, Libya saw massive investments in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Illiteracy rates increased from 25% to 83%, and Libya became one of Africa's most prosperous nations. Yet Gaddafi's leadership was not without controversy. He maintained strict control, suppressed opposition, and ruled through a combination of fear and charisma. The clash with the West. Gaddafi's policies often challenged Western interests. He nationalized oil companies, expelled Western military bases, and funded revolutionary movements across Africa and the Middle East. The United States and several European nations labeled him a sponsor of terrorism, especially after the 1986 Berlin disco bombing and the 1998 Lockerbie plane explosion, incidents in which Libya was accused of being involved. In 1986, U.S. President Ronald Reagan ordered airstrikes on Libya, killing dozens, including Gaddafi's adopted daughter. Gaddafi survived, and his anti-Western rhetoric grew stronger. But by the early 2000s, something changed. After decades of sanctions, Gaddafi sought to rebuild relations with the West. He dismantled Libya's weapons programs and opened the country to Western investment. For a brief moment, Libya was welcomed back into the international community. The 2011 uprising and NATO's role. In 2011, during the Arab Spring, protests erupted in Libya. What began as a call for reform quickly turned into an armed conflict between Gaddafi's forces and rebel groups. The UN approved a no-fly zone, but this soon expanded into a full NATO-led military intervention, led by the United States, France, and the United Kingdom. Western leaders claimed their goal was to protect civilians. But critics argued that the real objective was Libya's vast oil reserves and Gaddafi's plans to create a gold-backed African currency, which could have threatened the dominance of the US dollar and the euro in African trade. By October 2011, Gaddafi was captured and killed in Sirte. His death marked the end of an era and the beginning of chaos. After Gaddafi, a nation in turmoil. After Gaddafi's fall, Libya descended into political instability and civil war. Multiple factions, militias, and foreign powers vied for control. The once unified nation fragmented, and much of its oil wealth fell into the hands of private groups and foreign companies. Meanwhile, the same Western nations that had pushed for intervention quietly stepped back. Libya, once one of Africa's wealthiest countries, became a symbol of the dangers of foreign intervention and regime change. Obama's greatest mistake. U.S. President Obama once told The Atlantic magazine in 2016 that the greatest mistake of my presidency was toppling Gaddafi's regime. He also blamed David Cameron and French President Nicolas Sarkozy. Obama said David Cameron was distracted and accused French President Sarkozy of bombing Libya to boost his country's image as a military power. But Obama's statement now is of no use. Africa's greatest nation has been destroyed. NATO, Obama, and all these leaders did this together. In fact, Obama never wanted to invade Libya from the beginning. Sarkozy and David Cameron took the lead on this matter, and now it's clear why they did. The friend who betrayed him. Years later, a shocking twist emerged. Sarkozy faced multiple legal cases after leaving office. The most serious ones involved corruption, illegal campaign financing, and accepting money from foreign sources, including alleged funds from Muammar Gaddafi's Libya. Sarkozy was accused of illegally receiving up to 50 million euros from Gaddafi to finance his 2007 presidential campaign. This violated French campaign finance laws and suggested corruption and foreign interference. The reason for Gaddafi's assassination was linked to the investigation already underway against French President Nicolas Sarkozy. After Sarkozy won the presidential election, several allegations surfaced that he had received money from Gaddafi for his 2007 campaign. An investigation was launched, and the main witness in that case was Muammar Gaddafi himself. If Gaddafi had testified against Sarkozy, Sarkozy would almost certainly have faced prison time. Sarkozy wanted Gaddafi dead to destroy that evidence. He immediately dispatched French intelligence units on a mission to Libya. So, you see, Sarkozy destroyed Libya and killed Gaddafi to cover up his own corruption. In September 2025, Sarkozy was convicted of criminal conspiracy over his corruption pact with Gaddafi and sentenced to 5 years in prison plus a €100,000 fine. As of October 21, 2025, Sarkozy began serving his sentence at La Santé prison in segregation while his lawyers appealed. The same leader who later supported NATO's bombing of Libya had once benefited from Gaddafi's money, a complex web of politics, power, and betrayal. Although Sarkozy denied all charges, the scandal left deep questions about Western motives in Libya's downfall. The bigger question. The story of Libya raises an uncomfortable question. Is it ever fair for powerful nations to invade weaker ones under the banner of freedom or protection when the real motive may be control over natural resources like oil, gold, and rare earth materials? International law forbids wars of aggression, but history shows that economic interests often shape foreign policy, sometimes more than humanitarian values. Muammar Gaddafi's legacy remains deeply divided, a revolutionary hero to some, a tyrant to others. But the truth of Libya's destruction reminds us of a larger lesson. When power and profit guide the fate of nations, it's the ordinary people who pay the highest price. This is not just the story of Gaddafi or Libya. It's a reflection of how global power, politics, and greed can rewrite the destiny of a nation. That's all for today. Have a great day, everyone. Don't forget to share your thoughts about this video in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the red button below to join us. Activate the bell icon to be notified as soon as the next video is uploaded.